Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Cancer, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of May, for Taurus season, whatever your particular timing paradigm is. This is what it's for. So I hope you're well, and I'm using the Bulgarian 777 deck for you today. Things to tell you before we begin. If the reading resonates with you and you would like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. That's via the links in the description box below. One of those links will take you to Selfie, where you can buy the standalone extended for your sign. But if you want something a little more, you can come over to the Order of the Phoenix, the Order of the Phoenix, rather, which is my private community on the Circle platform. There you can get extended content for all of the signs for no extra cost beyond the membership fee. You can also get access to the weekly energy readings that run between 45 to 60 minutes long every week. You can come participate in the Deccan Walk that we're doing that seems to be transformative. It's a really quite extraordinary thing. I could call it like a collaborative group project, possibly. That might be a good way to put it. It's really yielding some astonishing results. And if you join at the higher tier, you can come participate in the live classes that we run over there too, and have access to, at this point, 16 months worth of back classes as well. So if that sounds like it might be of interest to you, you know what to do with that link. So let's talk about what we're going to do here today, Cancer. The first thing that we're going to do, as we have been doing all year, is take a look and see where we are. I think, honestly, it's the most important question that we can ask ourselves. Not what are we afraid is going to happen, all that sort of thing, but like, where are we right now? And then from there, actually inspired by the Deccan Walk that I'm doing at the moment, which is covering Taurus 1, 2 and 3, and thus the 5, 6 and 7 of Pentacles, I think this period of time is like, okay, well, we've had all of the intensity of the earlier astrology. What has it thrown up as problematic? And particularly with regard to the 5 of Pentacles, which is first decan of Taurus. If nothing changed, if we kept doing everything that the way that we're doing it right now, like, what would be different in 5 years' time? And is that acceptable to us? Would anything be different? I think the beauty of this period here, particularly as we walk through this Taurus 1, 2, 3, is that we've got an opportunity to shift attention, shift focus, identify problems, deal with them, kind of lean into the resourceful nature of Taurus, but with a mind to how we want to feel later on, right? Because I think everybody's a little bit stressed, everybody's under a lot of pressure. Everybody's just fried themselves living through the most astrologically intense period of the year so far. What does it all mean? What can we shift and what can we change? So that's going to be the second row here. And then the third row of cards will be the second most important question that we can ask ourselves at this time, which is, what's the next step? That's it. We don't have to have a grand plan. We don't have to be working towards some sort of currently feeling unattainable goal or even attainable goal, right? We just simply need to know what the next step is. So I hope that that's acceptable for you. That's what I have for you today. So let's start off with, where is Cancer right now, please? Wow, bingo. 7 of Pentacles, Taurus 3, the tarot card that represents the decan that we're in at the moment. 3 of Swords reversed, even better. I'm liking how this is showing up, Cancer. And then we also have, the 9 of Cups reversed with the Wheel of Fortune at the bottom of the deck. Now I like this very much. Although the presence of the 3 of Swords may seem like a bit of a dampener, and then the 9 of Cups in reverse, but I can't help but feel that you are orienting towards something different. Why? Because the 7 of Pentacles is that pause, is that moment of reflection where we look around and we go, is this it? Is this what I have now? And is this the direction that I want to continue going on? If we kind of lean back into that 5 of Pentacles that we were talking about before, it's like, well, what I have now might be okay for now, but do I want to be in exactly the same place in 5 years' time, or even 1 year's time? Because I think uniformly the answer across the board is going to turn out to be no. It's like, well, we can endure a bit of hardship for a while if it has meaning. But it's that vague notion of of there being something a little bit more that we could tap into if only we could access it. And the fact that it's showing up here with a reversed Three of Swords feels like there's an integration of what has been occurring over the last few months, intense as it has been. And I think at points it was so intense it was difficult to understand what was happening. And the best thing that we could do to see ourselves along is just simply allow ourselves to vibe in that space, whether it was comfortable to do so or not, right? Kind of hold the ambiguity, hold the discomfort, and see what happens. This period of time has reminded me a lot of what Jung said about holding the tension of opposites long enough for a third way to appear. And I do feel like this period of time, this little slice that we've got, where the astrology is relatively quiet, like relatively quiet. It's not really it's not really dialing down the intensity too much, but it's like we're plateauing here for a little while. We're coasting along, and while we're coasting, while we're not having to hold too hard the tension of all the opposites or the stress or whatever, kind of like contemplate what is this third way. Like the Three of Swords is quite often a card of representing pain, right? Painful truths that are emerging. But I love the fact that the Three of Swords, when it shows up in the reverse like this, it's an indication of a healing process that is being undergone. I've said before, it's impossible for the heart to heal itself around those swords, and neither would we really want them to, hearts to do that, because, well, ultimately we'll carry around that sword in our heart for the rest of our lives. Better that we recognise what we can release and let go, and allow gravity and to some extent time, because this is a Saturn card as well, time to do its work and gravity to do its work in pulling these swords out so that real healing can occur from this point. The sense that painful truths have been revealed, and now there's a point of reconciliation, which is to say the reconciliation of a new kind of paradigm that we're living in that has more truth in it than we had it before. Whether or not we feel that is a comfortable and a comfortable thing is neither here nor there, but it is ultimately very useful because we're much closer to the truth, and more things are now able to be considered than were before when we were sat in this little emotional bubble that we were in. And the Nine of Cups in reverse, because all the nines speak to me about the way that we manage whatever suit they represent. When we're talking about the Nine of Cups, we're talking about emotional regulation and how you manage yourself. And it could well be that you're looking around at your life and you're like, do you know what, I've really been on edge. I've really been emotional. There have been all sorts of things that are coming up, have been coming up for a while. And the sum total of that is that I recognise that the paradigm that I am in, the paradigm of my own creation, perhaps to some extent, or at least one that you've participated in, isn't really giving me any kind of emotional fulfillment. It's really not helping me emotionally regulate. Maybe it's time for change. Now, I love the fact that the Wheel of Fortune is showing up at the bottom of the deck here for you, because the Wheel of Fortune is always spinning. And when it shows up either sideways or reversed, for me, there's that feeling that we can't quite see the big picture, right? We know that something's happening and we don't really know why. And it's very, very difficult to shoehorn any kind of meaning into what might be happening right now. The fact that it's showing up in the upright for you means I'm fairly certain that you know that things are changing. You can feel that things are changing. And more importantly, you see the wisdom of all the things that you're dealing with right here in terms of the change of direction that it ultimately will end up at. But what I find really interesting about this is that there seems to be no desire to rush this process, Cancer, which is quite extraordinary. Like it's like you're bobbing around in this place, which is slightly uncomfortable, for sure, but with the distinct sense that this is leading somewhere meaningful. Now, let's just pull out the clarifiers and see if we can get anything else to sit on the bones of this. I want to focus on the Seven of Pentacles because that's where the analysis is. This is where the taking stock is. I feel like the Three of Swords and the Nine of Cups are almost to some extent playing a secondary role in terms of what the actual message is here. Tell me about the Seven of Pentacles. Ooh, Queen of Cups reversed, Knight of Wands reversed, Hermit reversed. And the Knight of Cups in the upright over here. I couldn't see more of a recipe for personal dissatisfaction than I see here in a Queen of Cups reversed for Cancer, and even the Knight of Wands reversed for Cancer too. Right? These are Cancer and Sagittarius respectively. Knight of Wands is very much about being in the moment and all sorts of things actually. At its best, it can be about adventure and novelty and experiencing new things and kind of just getting out there and living life to its fullest, right? At worst, it could speak to a certain recklessness in behaviour and all that sort of thing, right? But this Queen of Cups reversed is singularly important because her reversed state is indicating a lack of contact with one's own identity. Right, or perhaps better termed as what would be the better term for this? A shifting identity, but perhaps one that hasn't really been aligned with your highest good for the longest time anyway. It's like you're coming out from behind the facade that you have created for yourself, the front, the face, the mask, the persona, whatever it is, and tapping into something that feels much deeper. But that's where this takes you eventually. It's not where you are right now. And again, I actually really like the way that you're holding this discomfort, Cancer, because you can recognize that you haven't really lived according to the law of you, right? L-O-R-E rather than L-A-W. That there's something really meaningful and really authentic and, dare I say it, deeply sovereign that is preparing to emerge. But like a caterpillar in the goo phase, this seems to be where you are, because I think what has passed for satisfaction before is now starting to seem very, very empty. And it's certainly devoid of the kind of expansion that the Knight of Wands is looking for, the adventure, the meaning as well. It's quite interesting because the Knight of Wands is a bit of a hedonistic character, right? And generally speaking, we interpret that as not necessarily a good thing, right? Certainly, if the Knight of Wands were to come up in the upright in a relationship reading, yeah, kind of commitment phobic, right? They're out for a good time, and that's it. And the second that it stops being a good time, they're away. But given that there is a Sagittarius card at the bottom of the deck here, it feels like the absence of fun, the absence of joy, the absence of the things that really light you up, and more than that, the absence of things that inspire faith and meaning in you. And see how all of these cards are linking together with that. And the fact that the Hermit is showing up in reverse is a realization that this is not actually a situation where you have to go inside and deeply examine yourself. I mean, rather the reverse. The Hermit reversed for me is often a coming out of the cave and starting to experience things proper. Like this frustrated energy leading to this, and all the while holding the tension of the awareness of what you have been experiencing and the awareness of how this isn't it for you. There's more, there's different, and you just need to be open to it, such that you can kind of almost look at what you've created in terms of the mask, the persona, whatever you want to call it, and realize that a lot of this was cultivated for the benefit of other people. Now, this is coming off the back, Cancer, of really considerable personal work that you have done on yourself in the last 7 years. I mean, certainly as long as I've been here, which is almost 7 years now. This is something that you have worked relentlessly at. And you've peeled away layers and layers and each time there's been a shinier version of you has emerged. There's something so refined about where you are now, and dare I say it, even a little objective. Far more objective than you've ever been in your life before, because there isn't the wrench, the pain of I must pull myself away from what I know. There's just the studious and objective consideration of what life currently holds, the way that you're showing up in it, and whether this is really any good for where you want to be this time next year. Now that Knight of Cups in the upright at the bottom of the deck, that desire to be of service, the desire to give your cup, to give your emotion, I think it's pretty central to the Cancer experience, right? There needs to be something to care for, there needs to be something to nourish, there needs to be something to nurture. That drive is really, really strong. And the sense of wanting to serve something that is higher than yourself. But the way that I'm starting to see these cards show up here for you feels like it's here's the thing, Cancer, you seem to be sitting beside yourself in the most interesting way. There's so much examination going on, and there's examination of your surroundings, of your environment, of the people that are within it, but also everything that's come to make you you. And yes, you have you leaped up over the course of the last 7 years. The life that you live now is completely unrecognisable, perhaps, to where you were 7 years ago. But what I'm not seeing here is a desire to hunker down and create the home space, like, almost kind of retreat in that crabbiness and being like, oh no, I'm just gonna be here and nurture all of this. Like, there's a desire to nurture yourself, to be of service to yourself, to nourish yourself, and to let emerge whatever may come out. And what is really fascinating for me about all of that is that there is very little consideration to external opinions. Or even internal machinations. Now, I don't know why I'm surprised, Cancer, because you are the most complex sign in the zodiac, in my opinion, at least, anyway, and that's definitely not a bad thing, right? But there are always levels to everything that you are experiencing, and some of those go so deep that sometimes they defy words. It's difficult to put words to them. But it feels a little bit like you've managed to step outside of yourself so well that without any sense of pain or any sense of strain even, you're analysing everything and going, no, okay, well, that's no good, I'm going to get rid of that. That's not really emotionally regulated, that's going. It's to the side. It's not inside, it's not outside, it's to the side. So, we have the Seven of Wands, we have the Queen of Swords, it's Libra, and we have the Tower with the Death card. Whew. I'll be honest, these cards are entirely in alignment in terms of the intensity that they represent and the capacity for change. Entirely aligned with the position that you are in right now. I say there's no force, there's no strain. You're not trying to force anything. You're just letting everything be, and you're analysing as it comes up. Everything. If I was to try and put a proper description to it, it almost feels like your soul has managed to step outside of yourself and see, without the clarity of where you're going, the clarity of where you are right now, and the feeling that you have, it is enough to tell you that where you are right now is not enough. Does that make sense? So the biggest issue for you at this point is perhaps trying to temper what might be, a Knight of Wands energy of wanting to just boost away from, yourself, situations, circumstances, events, people, whatever, in a way that is kind of reckless and thoughtless. And do this in a constructive way that leads to really fundamental change. It's no small thing to have the Death card as the shadow card at the bottom of the deck when we're looking at a particular movement through a problem and a solution, which is kind of what this period is about quite a lot. That's not half-assed energy right there. That's true transformation and change. It is also, and I think this is quite important for you, a recognition of the law of equivalent exchange, right? So however much you want things to change in the future, and you are certainly, balls deep in the consideration of that, there is going to need to be a corresponding clearing out of what is now to make space for it. And the urge is there, Seven of Wands, the desire to make the change, maybe we might even say the bravery to make the change is right here. But there's something quite circumspect about the Queen of Swords being here too. Because the Queens help us understand stuff, right? So the Queen of Cups will help you understand your own emotions, but because she also represents Cancer, right, she's understanding your identity, full stop. The Queen of Swords here is helping you work out what you think about things. And I like the fact that none of this feels reactive at all. It feels quite the opposite. It feels highly responsive too. But just as, we can sort of imply the presence of the Page and the Knight of Swords in getting this information into your brain, now we're kind of sifting out what is real and what is not. I mean, for some of you, what you might be doing is just checking your ego and making sure that that's not getting overly involved, that we are not repeating cycles of fear and all that sort of stuff. I don't think you are, because you've got the Seven of Wands here. It's like the clarity is more important than anything else about where you are right now. And I love the fact that you are situating yourself literally where you are right now and nowhere else. Like, this is the important moment. But the Queen of Swords can also be a helpful ally when we're working out what it is that we want to cut out of our life quite quickly. Because we've got the most emotional Queen and the least emotional Queen showing up simultaneously in the same reading. Now, to some extent, this Queen of Cups has been stepped down a little bit because she's reversed, and we recognise that whatever identity she has fastened to herself for the last wee while, it's not going to function in a way that is helpful to us moving forwards. So we just step her in interaction down for just a little bit, because you recognise that you yourself are changing. But this Queen of Swords is like, okay, well, if I need to make the space, if the law of equivalent exchange really exists and it's a thing, and it is a thing, it does exist, then the degree to which we want things to change is the degree to which we have to cut things out to make space for it. And then there's the Tower. traditionally speaking, the Tower represents sudden, unexpected upheaval or crisis or stuff that comes in to change our direction, right? For me, the Tower is uniformly good, but it takes us off on a 90-degree turn from where we thought we were going. What's interesting about this is that it's all very conscious. And I think the Tower energy, whilst disruptive in terms of what you intend to do in your life, it doesn't feel like something that you are afraid of. It's just something that you're really, really keen to get right. You're really, really keen to make sure that it is vibing in an energy of truth rather than an energy of anything else. And so to some extent, the Tower-like effect of the changes that you are looking to make and the space that you are looking to create is actually going to affect other people more than it's going to affect you, because there's a certain logical path that you're following with all of this, albeit in the most illogical and chaotic times we've ever lived in, right? But this is wonderful, because this is what loosens up the rigidity. You can quite literally, bring the energy of the Tower to bear and change direction and do things that are, were not possible for you to even contemplate 2 years ago. The energy of the universal year one, the energy of the fire horse year, like these are supporting these kind of abrupt changes, particularly when they're coming from a place of real truth. It's extraordinary, Cancer, in its scope, in terms of what you can do moving forwards. But I'm equally as astonished and impressed by the way that you are holding everything of self so lightly right now. It's like you're emotionally invested in it, but not overly invested, which is an interesting thing when it comes to matters of self. In the midst of a very, very chaotic energy, Cancer, you seem to be moving in a very, very orderly fashion. And I really like that. So let's have a look and see what the next step is for you. What is the next step for Cancer, please? Okay, so we have the Temperance card. More Sagittarian energy, interestingly enough. Quite a bit of it. 5 of Swords on its side. Whatever the fuck was that fell down there. Let me go get it. Oh. Do you know, I was actually waiting for that card to show up. I almost made reference to it before, like when I was talking about, these layers that you've jumped through, this evolution that you've taken, where you've realised that you're a fucking magician. But the power here is just... Think about every other time, Cancer, and there were a good handful of times where I made reference to the fact that you were a fucking magician and how that felt in that moment when you connected with that as an idea and then you felt it playing out in your life. Like, I remember the comments from Cancers just feeling like they were going through this really radical rebirth, and it was happening, it was working, and it was confirmed. In the comments, everybody was like, I fucking am a magician. Holy shit, look what I'm doing, right? Now, despite the fact that the magician has no traditional correspondence to Cancer at all, it is a card that has followed you around for a few years now. It's knocking on your forehead periodically and reminding you that this is a thing. Now, interestingly enough, I don't feel like you need the reminder. I feel like what is showing here is the energy of a person who has integrated this awareness that they can create whatever they want. But there's a really cautious approach, making sure that you've got everything right before you start walking that path, wherever that may take you, right? Because the Temperance card is here. Temperance card represents, amongst other things, equilibrium and balance, and we know that these things are very important. But it also talks about Sorry if you can hear my computer trying to take off. I really need to hoover it out because it's a bit stressed and dusty in there, and I haven't got around to doing it yet. Anywho, it also represents healing. It also represents actually triumph over adversity and whatnot, but it has that Sagittarian quality to it too. And the profound balance that it's talking about seems to come from somebody who is deeply aware of the power of their emotions, but seems also able to balance this out with the need to make sure that the mind is working in a logical fashion, right? So the Five of Swords, when it shows up for me, is a kind of, very least we can call it wonky thought patterns, right? It's many other things besides, but the energy of the Five is chaotic. So we've got this kind of this chaotic energy that is unstable, and it relates to Swords, which is the workings of the mind, its communication, its logic, its intellect, its facts, it's all those sorts of things, right? To some extent, it is also the way that we decode the universe because of its close association with the mind and all that kind of thing, right? So if we put those two together, then we've got chaos and instability around possibly the way that we think, the way we communicate, the way that we perceive reality, the way that we decode the information that comes from other people to us, all those sorts of things, right? Now, when a card shows up sideways, it's either showing up in a potentialized state that has not yet been activated to turn one way or another, or what we're finding is an energy that is on the turn, right? That we've caught it in the snapshot of change. And I really, really like the fact that it's showing up here, because I do feel like the latter applies for you, right? We've got a stabilization. You can't put this much energy into the objective observations that you are making right now without there being some sort of fundamental change that issues therefrom. And I think this is the process. So the next step for you is actually to continue what you have been doing. You know, this is not necessarily a month for changing gears, like up or down, actually. It's just kind of rolling along where you are right now. But the Magician is here to confirm, I think, that at the point at which this stabilization has occurred and the internal balances have all been right, and maybe external balances too, right, that all the balances are there, that the act of creation, the act of manifestation, the act of active manifestation, not passive, I'm going to talk about the Lover's card as being passive manifestation, having a really clear view of what you do want to be feeling, you do want to be doing, you do want to be thinking, you do, you know, all of these things. This higher level of willpower, high level of consent to this set of experiences seems to be the dominant factor rather than the end result of where you are going to be. Well, yes, it's active manifestation. We've got to have some sense of what we're trying to manifest here. But I don't feel you being too prescriptive about what that looks like. I just know that there's an interesting shift away from the I must be of service to other people to I want to bring my skill set and my emotional intensity and all of the things that I've mastered to a situation where other people can come match me in that, and we can work together towards some sort of shared goal, shared vision, shared alignment, right? Three of Pentacles, Three of Wands. So there's no need to force anything during this period. It's just allow it to roll, because it's doing the work. I don't know if life is feeling pretty fucking surreal for you right now, Cancer. I would imagine it probably is. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's 2026. I think everything's kind of surreal at this point. There's an elegance about the way that you're allowing all the bits of you to separate such that you can see them properly. And there's no sense of judgment being applied to anything that you see. It's all just information. And I really, really like that. One might say it's actually the only path to truth, actually. I feel like it makes your emotions so much more powerful when you're ready to re-engage that at the level that you do. So it's really extraordinary, Cancer. Right, I'm going to go over to the extended now. You're very welcome to join me over there if you would like to do so. Like I said before, you can do that on Selfie, or you can do it on Circle. I would be delighted to see you in either place. But honestly, like, if that's not your bag, that's absolutely fine. You are doing exactly, you're exactly where you're supposed to be, and you're acing it, which is even better. It's not like you kind of stumbled into this place and flailing around and then accidentally doing the thing. No, this is a level of conscious movement, even taking into account the way that you've excelled before, that I don't think I've seen from you. It's that big. It's really big. Right. Anyway, I'm going to go. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I'll see you soon.